it's Chári here, blogger from chichomestyle.com. Thank you so much for joining me on my very first YouTube video. In honor of October being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I thought this would be the perfect time to do my introduction and talk about my journey with my recently diagnosis of breast cancer. So if you have not subscribed yet to my channel, please make sure you do so. I will be doing a series of videos during my journey, just taking you guys through everything and letting you see a little bit behind the scenes, but also too, I'd love to hear your feedback. Follow along for more information as well. Today, I am going to be talking to you about my diagnosis and a couple of other important things that I would really like to share through my journey so far. So let's get started. Okay, so I wanted to first jump in to my diagnosis. I was actually diagnosed on September 13th, so just literally a few weeks ago. Let me start over and I'll tell you guys about how I found the lump and what prompted me to go in and have it checked out. So some of you may know, some close friends and relatives know a little bit about the situation, but I do want to share with everyone here and just be completely transparent. My lump was actually found a year ago, almost to the date, in September. I was doing my regular self-exam in the shower, which, by the way, is extremely important for women. If you are not doing your self-exams, I highly recommend that you make sure you're doing them at least once a month. You can do them easily in the shower. You can do them while laying down. Talk to your healthcare provider about the best way and best practices to do them properly. But I was doing my breast exam in the shower and I felt something that just didn't feel right. I felt a lump in my left breast and I thought, well, that's really strange. I already had an appointment with my gynecologist set up for a couple of weeks after that, so I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll have her to check it out and just make sure. So I went in for my appointment. My doctor also felt the same thing. She immediately recommended that I get an ultrasound and a mammogram. Now, my breast tissue is extremely dense, and I will say, if that's something that you have, if you know that your breast tissue is extremely dense, I would highly recommend that you ask for, if it's not presented to you, to ask for a 3D mammogram, because sometimes your 2D mammograms, it's a little bit harder to see those things in dense breast tissue. But that's something you should talk to your medical healthcare provider about and advocate for yourself with those types of things. So we went in, we did an ultrasound, we did a mammogram to confirm that there was a mass that was there. They wanted to move forward with the biopsy of it, and I initially declined the biopsy. I have a debilitating fear of needles, doctors, appointments, that sort of thing. So I initially was like, no way I'm gonna be able to do that. So I said, well, why don't I just take an approach of just keeping an eye on it. If things change, I'll come back. Well, flash forward, I put it off. I made excuses. I put it off for months, and I noticed about a couple of months ago, around July, I noticed a few changes with my breast. So I thought, okay, I should probably go back in and have this checked out again. So I did. I made another appointment. They did new ultrasound images as well as new mammogram images, and I also had a biopsy that was done at that time. The biopsy results came back on September 13th. I got the phone call that I did test positive for invasive ductal carcinoma, which This particular form of breast cancer actually accounts for about 80% of breast cancers found. So it's very common, breast cancer. So I did a little bit of research on it, and I reached out, to my doctor, just asking him, okay, well, what are the next steps? What do we do now? So he immediately referred me to an oncologist to discuss chemo options and other treatment options as well. So we got right on it right away, and we started with a series of testing. Now, there's different types or different options that there are, that your particular situation may be a little bit different than mine. Because my mass was so large, my breast surgeon thought it would be better for me to start with chemo to try to shrink the mass as much as possible before we explored any other options to go forward with surgery. So that was my personal experience. Yours may be completely different, and that's something that your medical team will coach you through and let you know what's the best options for your particular situation. So once we talked about my plan of action, we actually came up with a series of tests that were very helpful in gathering the data for my specific diagnosis. We did a series of tests over about 2.5 to 3 weeks. It was very extensive, very intense. We did mammograms, ultrasounds, PET scans, CT scans. I've done a heart test. We've done lymph node surveys, and all of those things from the research that I have done are extremely helpful in finding out where you are on things, finding out the data that you need. There's also genetic testing that I also did as well, which is extremely important. My advice from what I've taken away from my specific journey so far is to do your research and find out, from others, or searching reputable sites, and find out what's most important. How can you help advocate for yourself and talk to your medical professional about those things, and making sure that you're getting all of the tests that you need to get done ahead of time so that there's nothing that might be missed. After I was diagnosed on September 13th with the breast cancer, we actually did a PET scan, a CT scan, and several other tests that I had mentioned. The PET scan actually showed that my breast cancer had spread to the bone of my sternum. Without that test, we really wouldn't have known that. So that's extremely important. We also had found that there's spread to some of my lymph nodes as well on my left side. So that's extremely important. Also, knowing the statistics as well is important for you to know kind of what's going on and what questions to ask. I have my notes here. 1 in 8 women will develop invasive breast cancer in her lifetime. So that's why, to me, genetic testing was very important. It's not something that you have to do, but it's something that I think is really important for you to find out. Is this something that may be a genetic marker that you're carrying that you didn't know about? Whether you know someone in your family that has breast cancer or not. In my situation, I don't know anyone, a close relative on my mom or my dad's side, but that doesn't mean that we don't have that genetic marker, and it's helpful to me for my particular form of treatment, but also too could help my siblings as well as my nieces and nephews to make sure that they're informed going forward and getting those screening tests done a little sooner. So after the initial shock of everything wore off, and I was just in a mode of trying to figure things out, trying to find the best way to kind of navigate myself through this, and out of desperation to connect with others that have gone through it, I reached out to a couple of close friends that have gone through this before, but also too, I decided to join a support group. So it was very helpful to me. I initially joined a support group on Reddit as well as breastcancer.org, and it has been extremely beneficial to me to connect with people who have walked this path before me that I could gain, valuable insight from, learn a lot from. And some of these people are still on their journey. Some of these people had their diagnosis 5+ years ago. So it's great to have that network of people surrounding you, but also to encourage you during your journey, to help lift you up, but to give you invaluable insight during your particular journey was very invaluable to me. So one thing I would highly recommend, if you are newly diagnosed and you're just trying to find your way through things, join a support group. There have been, for me, tons of friends, tons of family that have been so supportive and lifting me up in prayer, lifting me up with encouragement. But there is nothing quite like being able to connect with someone and have that experience from a perfect stranger that connects you to an experience that you're both going through or have, gone through. So that would be my number one recommendation if you haven't already done that. My next recommendation would be to gather your support tribe. This was really important to me, being that I live in a state where it's just my husband and I. So we don't have close relatives here in Houston with us. Everyone's kind of spread out. So in a way to kind of, involve and include family and close friends in being a part of this journey with me, I came up with the idea of starting one big group text. And this has been therapeutic for me, but it's also been a great way to keep those close to me involved so that they can feel like they are a part of the entire process. So the way I do it is I just kind of keep everyone up to date when I have an appointment, when there's something fun that I want to share, or even something that's not so great that I want to share, when I really need that motivation and I really need that support. I would also recommend having one close friend or a couple of close friends that you can designate as kind of your boob fairy. This person can help with coordinating different things throughout your process or throughout your journey to really give you a little boost of joy, excitement, whatever they want to do. In my particular group, I have my really close friend bond that gathered all of my friends and family together, and they decided to do a really cool gifting experience for me. So they actually came together, they organized sending me numbered gifts. So for every single chemo treatment that I receive, I'll have a couple of gifts to open for each treatment day. And it can be small things. It doesn't have to be huge or major things, but just something for you to look forward to where you have wrapped gifts that gives you that kind of excitement right before your chemo treatment, that you can kind of open and think of them and make them feel like they're involved in it as well. One other thing I also did was I put together a small registry on Amazon, and it has been a huge hit. I put together a list on Amazon for treatment essentials, which kind of helped me gather the things that I would need for treatment days. this could be small things or big things. I mean, everything from things that I'll need in my chemo bag for chemo days, or things to just help make me comfortable at home. I put together a registry list that I could just literally text or email to friends and family. I got a lot of requests and a lot of messages asking, how can I help? I want to do something. I want to be a part of this, and I know that I'm not there. So for friends and family that really want to be a part of it, it's a great way for you to have a link of small items, small things that you can check off of your list that you don't have to worry about, and send it out to everyone. And it makes it so much easier. They go online, they pick the items they want to purchase, and they're shipped right to your door. So that would be my next recommendation. If you haven't already done something similar, it's a great way to get family and friends involved. All right, so thank you guys for joining me today to have a quick chat and to talk about my diagnosis. Things you can look forward to for the next few series are a few different things throughout my journey. I do want to talk about my treatment plans, treatment essentials, as well as what's next for me and my particular diagnosis, whether that be radiation, surgery, different options and different things that I'll be bringing you guys along for in the journey. I would also love to hear from you on what things that you would be interested in seeing, or any feedback that you have that would be important to you, if you know someone who is going through this, or if you yourself is going through it as well. Also, like what we talked about, if you have not subscribed yet, please do subscribe to my channel to make sure you don't miss any of the future videos that I will be sharing. Also, make sure that you follow me on Instagram at Chic Home Style, as well as my blog, chichomestyle.com, and be on the lookout for those future videos. I'm really excited to share my testimony and to share my journey. I have gotten so much support, so much empowerment from other women and my new breasties who are also going through this or have survived their cancer diagnosis, and it's just been so uplifting. So for me, it's very important that I share my particular journey in hopes that I can maybe also to give someone that strength, be a beacon of light for someone else who may be going through this, or know someone that's going through this after me as well. So please, 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 I want you guys to be a part of this journey with me and share what you would like to see, or what things that you think would be helpful for you, and that will help me get an idea of what things I want to share going forward. Thank you so much for joining me, and definitely, like I said, make sure you are doing your own exams at home, making sure, don't wait. If you have something that seems concerning to you, talk to your doctor about it right away and get going on the process. Don't be afraid, don't be scared, and just know it's very important for you to find a medical team that you trust and ask questions, advocate for yourself through the entire process. I promise you, yes, it's scary, but there's so much support out there, and so many people you can lean on for that support. Stay happy, stay healthy, and make sure you subscribe to my channel.